The night glows a soft blue, pulsing a bit, seemingly full of life. The moonlight glints off the curves and peaks of the river, illuminating jagged rocks lining the riverbed. The wooden bridge is still in the air, with no more footsteps weaving over and across it. The water is beautiful, but deadly, and when better a time to slip into the next world of death than during the stifled quiet night? A lone figure appears at the edge of the forest, silhouetted in stark black against the gentle midnight blue of the woods. Slowly coming into the light, the figure sits quietly by the water, rocking back and forth to the sound of the river rushing over the rocks. Inside a cottage by the river, a harsh white light appears, contrasting the warm glow of a cozy home at night. Another figure seems to stumble around for a few minutes before emerging through the front door. As she, too, comes into the light, her dark hair swings about her face for a second, and her foot catches on an errant rock. Quickly making her way to the bridge, she soon approaches the lonely girl sitting by the river. "What are you doing here?" the girl from the house asks. "Can I help you?" "No." The word is uttered with such finality, yet so softly and gently. "Well, then why are you out here at night, then? It doesn't look like you're out on a hike." This much was true. She was dressed in a simple gray dress and holding a few pieces of paper, nothing else. Her backpack lay in the dirt next to her feet. The girl said nothing, did not answer, merely inched closer to the water. "Please, come back to the house and have a bit of food. It's quite dangerous out here at night." "Do you really think I don't know that? I didn't come here to live, to be saved by some so-called hero. I came here to leave, and that is precisely what I will do in a few minutes' time." Looking at the girl appraisingly, she spoke once more. "You'd better get back before you die, too. I don't want to see you in the other world for a few more years, at least. Please, stay here with me. Don't die tonight. How will I explain this to your parents?" "They don't care. If they did, I wouldn't be here having to run away from the shelter. I'd be safe at home." A stray tear leaked out of her eye and fell to the ground, shimmering for a second before sinking into the ground. "Don't go. Just come back for one night, and if you still want to die, you can. Just give another day a chance." "No. Goodbye." And with that finality and decisiveness, she turned away and jumped off the bridge into the dark, deep water. In death, she was so much smaller than anyone had realized, and so helpless, floating just under the water. The girl on the shore, Lily Rose, though she went by Rose, she had said her name was, stared in shock before turning the other way and slowly walking back home. The morning sunlight filtered in through the trees, illuminating every facet of the little house, yet one spot remained dark. Rose had stayed up all night, going through the girl's backpack and reading all of the letters. Only 3 of them were to someone from the girl. The rest were from a person, a James Rowan. Who was he? And did he know that the girl, another Lily, now lay in the river as dead as the forest was alive? All the letters seemed to talk about what was happening in a place called Brixton. Perhaps that was where she had once lived and walked, and yet it sounded as if she would not be missed by anyone except for James. A small card fluttered to the floor, a phone number and email written on it. She quickly sprang into action, grabbing the cordless phone that sat on the bed beside her. She dialed the number. The phone rang 1, 2, 3 times before the person on the other line picked up. "Hello," she ventured, her voice quavering a bit as she spoke. "Hi, this is James. May I ask who is speaking?" a confident male voice said. "Yes, this is Lily Rose Watson. Do you know Lily Brown?" Yes, she is yes, I know her quite well." "I'm so sorry to tell you this. Do you want to sit down?" "I think you should." "Why? What happened to her? Tell me." He spoke quite forcefully, yet with a sort of tremble found in those only who habitually expected the worst. "Is she okay? A car crash? Lost? Is she alive?" No, she's not alive. I'm so sorry. Could you drive to 1997 Tottenham Place? I think, based on her letters, that she wants her possessions to pass into your hands." A dry sob escaped from the other end of the phone. Of course. 1997 Tottenham. Got it." The last words hung in the air before the crisp click of the phone was heard on both ends. A car drove smoothly along the deserted roads leading to Tottenham Place. Inside the car, James Rowan muttered to himself, somewhere between disbelief and grief. It couldn't be true, simply couldn't be. Lily, always so lively and vivacious, even when in the darkest of situations. Try as he might, he was unable to imagine her in death. Would she look smaller, or perhaps more blue, more like her bruised and torn soul that rattled along in her beautiful shell? Or maybe she would have been swept away from the river. He stopped along the bridge. Staring blankly at the great expanse of water, it was clear that she was nowhere to be found. Pausing to wipe away an errant tear, he remembered the last conversation she had had with him. They had argued, and he had stormed out of the room without saying goodbye. How much he regretted it, he did not know. All he knew was that he would give anything in the world to talk to her one more time, to tell her how much he loved her, and to stay alive. Then, maybe he wouldn't be sobbing in the middle of a bridge. He suddenly remembered where he was headed and drove with a sort of wavering conviction to the house. As he stepped out of the car, he found that his legs buckled a little bit, the loss already taking a toll on his health. He approached the door and rang the bell. A young woman, more of a girl actually, stepped out. "Ah, yes, you must be James," she spoke in quiet, soothing tones as a fluffy gray cat wound around her ankles. "Yes. So it's true then?" He trailed off, unable to finish the sentence. "I'm so sorry. I did everything I could. I just don't understand. I've been able to save hundreds of people, but why not her? I let you down. I let her down too." Rose turned her face away, unable to stare at James' face, a picture of loss and disappointment. He thought carefully about what to say, worrying that it would seem selfish, but curiosity won over. "Did she mention me before she jumped? Did she say anything?" "No, she didn't mention anyone. Wait here a second, okay?" Lily quickly turned and walked down the hall, footsteps echoing further and further away until they came closer and she reappeared. She appeared to hold a small box. Rose held the box out to James. He took it and read the inscription on the top. "To James, do not pity the dead, pity the living, and above all, those who live without love. Love, Lily." He inhaled sharply. Of course he should have realized what she was going to do. She had repeated that quote so many times to him, and yet he thought she just liked the books. He slowly pried open the lid of the simple box, afraid of what was inside. There were layers upon layers of letters on thin, translucent sheets, folded to fit into the box. He took out one by one, and stood motionless for hours, reading and rereading the letters as if to try and will her back to life. He reached for the next letter, only to have his fingers graze the bottom. He took the box and tilted it upside down. A drawer, hidden by the layers and layers of letters, tilted open. Out tumbled a green and silver ring, simple, yet glowing even in the now dim light of the evening. A note read, "I'm sorry you weren't able to hold me back this time." Lily had always joked about how she was the Gryffindor, always going out and taking risks, and how James was a Slytherin, always kind, yet careful and calculating. She was wearing, when she jumped, a little ring like that one, but in red and gold. As she jumped off, she tossed it in the air. I caught it. "Do you have it now? Can I?" Once more his voice trailed off, stricken with grief and filled with heartbreak. Yes, of course." She walked down the hall once more and returned just as quickly, holding the ring carefully in the palm of her hand, like she might cradle a full rose bloom or a delicate ceramic bowl. In her other hand, a matching chain dangled unceremoniously. "Here's the ring. There's also a chain she left in her bag to use as a necklace. Help me put it on, please." He threaded the ring on the chain and handed it with trembling hands to Rose. She carefully looped it around his neck and clasped it in the back. He shuddered out of shock, and of course because of the memento of his friend's life when she was gone. James felt it beat in time with his heart, and he thought of all the times when he had hugged her and felt her heart beat in the same way. The thought of her washed somewhere downstream, with her heart cold and stony, motionless within her body, was enough to break the dam between the outside world and his tears, and salty, saline tears came rushing out of his eyes. All the moments they could have had, lost forever because she was dead and gone. Forever. It seemed so cliché, but he would have given anything to have her back for just one more day, where they could try to live the rest of their lives in 24 hours. Try as he might, he could not fit the ring on any finger except his ring finger. Perhaps, he thought, she could have loved him as much as he did, and this thought did nothing except make him even more sad that they couldn't have settled down, have a family, and live the rest of their lives together. Perhaps this was her way of telling him that she had wanted to spend more time together but couldn't. "Sorry to interrupt you, but would you like a bite to eat?" Rose had suddenly reappeared next to him, holding a plate of toast and egg. He realized in that moment how much she looked like Lily, with the same dark brown hair and subtly shifting green eyes, a head shorter than him and always moving. "Sure." He accepted the food, his hands now beginning to sit still and move without trembling. "Oh, and are you going to stay the night?" Rose questioned, with the air of one having asked this question many times before. "Because if you are, I'll go make up the guest room. You aren't allergic to cats, are you?" "No, not allergic at all. Thanks for your offer, but I really do need to get back home. I was planning on attending a conference on preventing teen suicide. I was going for Lily, to try and help her. But I wasn't fast enough. I should still go, though." "Can I go with you?" Rose proffered. James was taken aback at the fact that she wanted to join him. "I've saved most everyone who tries to jump off the bridge except for, well, you know, and I want to know how I can get better." "All right, I suppose you can come." James looked at her with some speculation, undoubtedly wondering what it would be like to be surrounded by people, yet all alone save for a girl so much like Lily. Rose and James exited the car and took the stairs up to the front door one at a time. Inside, they could hear pop hits from 4 years ago blaring within the old house. People laughed and chattered, apparently not put off by the solemn topic of the conference. They pulled open the door slowly and were greeted by a mass of people, all of whom were wearing bright yellow t-shirts. Some shirts proudly proclaimed, "Survivor," and others bore letters spelling out, "I'm here for my," where people had filled in the name of the person lost to suicide. James's dark gray blazer and rumpled white dress shirt, as well as Rose's deep purple dress, were a dark blot on the jovial mood of the evening. Suddenly, a woman wearing a "Survivor" shirt approached them with a spring in her step and spoke loudly to them, as if they were hard-of-hearing kindergartners. "Hi, I'm Debbie Hoffman, founder and organizer of the annual Suicide Prevention Conference. Which t-shirt would you like?" She gestured grandly at the heaps of "Survivor" and "I'm here for my" shirts. James and Rose shared a look before they both spoke at the same time. "We'll take it. We don't need it, thanks." James won the slight argument, and they both started to walk away. "Wait, there's food over there, and we'll be doing shout-outs for people lost to suicide in a few minutes," Debbie called out frantically. Neither person turned back. They simply walked determinedly into the center of the room. All around them, hands pressed against them, people rushed past, apparently all with a purpose. Finally, they reached the people James was sure they would find. They were all dressed similarly, refusing to wear the horrendous yellow t-shirts. James extended his hand, but each held a plate of hors d'oeuvres in one hand and a flute of champagne in the other. "And who is this?" one of the women said presumptuously, looking down the bridge of her nose at Rose. "Lily Rose Watson. Pleasure to meet you." Rose stared back at the woman with an air of defiance. "James, who is this? I thought you were with Lily," a portly man inquired. "No, she's actually the reason why we're here. She died last night. Suicide. Jumped off a bridge. Rose, she tried to help her, but no," James explained. The people's fake smiles vanished instantly from their faces. "So, you're dating Rose now?" the woman continued, apparently unaware as to the fact that Lily had died less than 24 hours ago. No, she came with me because we were the only people who cared about Lily. No dating whatsoever," James replied, careful to squash the rumor before it could grow into a web of lies. The woman tutted, as if it showed derision that he had not yet moved on from Lily. James led Rose away from the group and whispered, "Just go with it. They fund the organization and have never known loss as we have." "So, I hear you are the generous benefactress of this organization," Rose ventured, hoping to gain a bit of information about these snobby, snooty old people. "Yes, we are the original heirs to the Bulstrode fortune. Each year we receive hundreds of requests to fund organizations such as this. We chose this one because it has the most gain-back opportunity," the woman said, ignoring the fact that she had just stated that she was in it for the money, and for the money only. "That's wonderful," Rose said from behind his fake smile. "Not to be rude or uncouth, but who have you lost to suicide? Obviously this organization means something to you." "Oh, no. The Bulstrode family prides itself on perfect sanity, thank you very much. No one that I know has committed suicide. No, we're not crazy." She ended that phrase with a short, barking laugh that had no humor in it whatsoever. Rose's eyebrows twitched, but she caught herself before they furrowed in obvious fury. She clenched her fist. James caught her eye, glanced at his watch, and politely excused them from the conversation. All the way to the car and back to Rose's house, Rose ranted about how horrible the Bulstrode benefactors had been. When they got back to the house an hour later, there was a bit of an awkward moment. "Do you want to stay the night?" Rose asked politely. "Sure, if I may. I mean, if it's okay with you, Of course it is. I have an extra room," Rose answered in the same cordial voice one might use with a parent's friend. She hurried off through a door to fix up the room. 10 minutes later, she reemerged. "The shower's down that way," she pointed to another door, "and my room is across the hall if you need anything." "Thanks." James uttered the word somewhat gratefully, but also embarrassed that he could not even bring himself to drive back to his flat, where he could stay up all night watching movies and drinking with his flatmate to try and drown the sorrows of the past 48 hours. Instead, he would be staying in the spare room of a girl he barely knew, and that scared him. He quickly showered and went to bed, and soon fell into restless, shadowy sleep, harrowed with memories of the first phone call. James woke up to find Rose in the kitchen, making a pan full of eggs, bacon, and toast. They ate breakfast in silence until James noticed that the room had been packed up into large moving boxes. "Why is everything packed up?" he asked, curious as to why the walls were bare and the floor neatly swept. "I'm leaving. I can't stay here anymore. Going to move to—" She took a large gulp of air, as if she could not believe what she was going to say. "Camden." James stared in disbelief. How could she move to such an urban place in the middle of London? He could not imagine her in any other place than the peaceful country setting in which she currently resided. I just need a change. I really can't stay here anymore. So you're just going to leave? Yeah, I have to. I can't explain it other than that. She fell silent for a moment, apparently sad that she had to leave such a fine place with so many memories. I've already got a flat and a flatmate. Her name is Lavender Clearwater, and she will be splitting the fees with me. You realize everything will change, right? James checked with her to make sure she knew how different life would be in the city. I know. I'll be fine. She turned around and packed up the guest room and bathroom. 15 minutes after submitting the lease, she called her mother, hoping that she could at least understand and try to help. Hi, Mom. It's Rose, Lily Rose. Are you available to talk? Sure, Lily. What is it? Well, I've decided to move back to the city, but I'm not sure if it's the right choice. Move to the city? Oh, honey, no. The city is a horrible spot. So many cars and people. I thought I raised you better than to become a... Mom, it's the right thing for me. I need to get out. It's too lonely. Also, I met someone. He's really nice, and in the same situation as me. The situation of defying her mom and going against all she was ever taught. Don't expect me to attend the wedding. Rose's mother gave a short, barking, derisive laugh. Wedding? He's a friend. With emphasis on the friend, she thought. That's what you say now. I know where this is going. Love you. Mother, that's not what I'm saying, honestly. All right, love you too. A clear click of the phone being set down in its cradle ended the conversation. Wedding, marriage, what were you thinking bringing that up to her? Rose asked herself. She turned around and continued packing, anxious to get out of the city. An hour later, they were both walking back and forth between her car and the house carrying boxes. They barely fit all the boxes into the small car, with Rose driving, James navigating, and Crookshanks the cat sitting in the glove box. There are only 5 boxes, one for each of the 2 bedrooms, one for the bathroom, one for the living room, and one for the kitchen. They drove for about 30 minutes until they reached a building several stories high on Primrose Hill Road. A tall, lanky girl of about 18 lounged carelessly on the front steps. Her hair was colored a bright blue to match striking blue eyes, and she wore a worn tank top and shorts. She read a wrinkled old book while simultaneously eating a cup of ramen. Are you Lavender? Rose asked the girl. She stood up quickly, knocking over the noodles. Yeah, I thought you would be arriving later, though. You're the one from Dartford, right? No, I'm from the countryside. Can I go inside and unpack? Sure. I divided the flat in half. I've already settled in, so feel free to take your time. Lavender seemed so much friendlier than her bad girl appearance. The smudged eyeliner didn't help with much, either, but she decided just to take a chance. Rose went inside and was greeted with a wonderful mess on one side of the room and a starkly plain other side. She quickly opened the first box and made both of the beds. It was a bunk bed, so James could stay the night if he had to. She quickly unpacked all that she needed and tucked the other boxes in the closet and went to the kitchen to cook something. She was greeted by several days' worth of trash, a kettle full of reused tea water, and a rank, odorous fridge. Rose quickly got to work, scrubbing every surface until it shined. She ran back outside an hour later to tell Lavender the new rules. First off, the kitchen is off limits to you except for boiling water. All your noodle packets are in the cabinet above the stove, and you can use the kettle if you clean it every time. I will cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I will also be cleaning out your half of the room this evening, and I expect your full cooperation. Any questions? Nah, that sounds fine. I'll still be out here. Oh, who's that? Your boyfriend? No, just a friend. Long story. I can tell you later. James, do you want to come in? No thanks. Can I take the car? Yeah, just make sure to give Crookshanks to me. One of the few constants in Rose's life was the cat, named after a Harry Potter character. She definitely did not want to lose her, too. Where are you headed? Rose asked, careful not to upset him. Oh, just out to get a drink with some friends, he replied casually. Well, be careful. Call if you need a ride. You are of age, right? She checked. For some reason, she felt rather protective of James, as if they had known each other before the tragic death of Lily. Yeah, I turned 19 a few months ago. January 9th. Spent the night in, watched a few movies with Lily. Last time I saw her before she was taken to the shelter. She was in a shelter? Rose asked, startled by this sudden revealing of information. She was only 17, set to turn 18 in June, the 28th. She passed precisely 5 months before her birthday. Legally, only a child. Mentally, though, she had been through more than most adults. She would have done better on her own. I applied to foster her, but they said she was too unstable. Worst day of my life, because it was my chance to save her. I better get going now. I told the guys I'd meet them at 8. I'll be at the Camden Eye, downtown. I'll probably have Peter drive me home. Okay, just be safe. I can't afford to lose you too. She turned to walk inside and finished tackling the mess that Lavender had made. She did multiple loads of wash, organized all of the random junk, and moved food back to the kitchen. At the end, she called Lavender in and explained everything. She cooked and ate dinner with Lavender, and they had a chance to talk. She had a sort of casual untidiness about her, but was surprisingly polite and charming. She could tell they would get along quite nicely, though they were polar opposites. Rose's phone rang noisily. She picked it up and looked at the time. 2 a.m. The caller was James. "Hello," she said groggily, hoping that she would not have to pick him up. "Hey, it's James. I'm staying the night at Peter's flat. I'll drive home tomorrow, okay?" "All right, just try and get some rest." "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Good night." "Night." Rose ended the call, relieved that he was fine, but annoyed that he had woken her up and that he still had the car. Whatever. She would just have to bike to get groceries. For now, she tried to get to sleep. After an hour's time of tossing and turning, she fell asleep and stayed in such a state until the next morning. When Rose woke up, she panicked for a second, forgetting she had moved. She stumbled into the bathroom, brushed out her dark hair, and carefully put her contact lenses in. She debated with her idea for a second, then decided to go with it. After all, it was time to try something new, wasn't it? Lavender cautiously opened the door. "Hello? How can I help you?" "It's me, silly. Rose, your flatmate?" She giggled nervously, quite different than her usual quiet, solemn expression. "Your hair! It looks great," Lavender explained, taking in the short lob, somewhere between shoulder length and a bob. "You think so?" Rose ventured cautiously. "'Cause if you like that, then—" She gathered her hair into a ponytail, revealing a galaxy of color splashed across an undercut. "I love it." Rose and Lavender shared a smile and started laughing. This whole sharing a flat deal was turning out much better than she had expected. She also got a friend. Rose buckled her helmet, adjusted the seat, and filled the wheels of the bike with air. "Bye, Lavender," she called out as she rode down the street to the nearest grocery. This was not the last time she would do the same routine of biking around town to do various chores. Over time, she adjusted to an urban lifestyle, aided by Lavender and James. She went to university and got a degree in business and economy. She started her own company and raised awareness in Lily's name. At Lavender's urging, she and James went out on one date, which turned into several dates, and that turned into a lifelong marriage and partnership, all while remaining best of friends. Turns out the snooty, bolstered people were right, after all, about them ending up together. It just turned time. James and Rose got married on the bridge so they could have Lily in attendance as well. Lavender officiated the wedding. She called it legally official best friends for life. Crookshanks passed shortly after, but lived on forever in the many cats and dogs to follow. Eventually, James and Rose decided that city life just wasn't for them and moved back to Tottenham Place by the bridge. The bridge was eventually made much safer, and more houses popped up by the bridge, all inhabited by people like Lily, dedicating their lives to saving others. Lily's parents never learned of her death, and never did care about her life either. Neither did the shelter, nor anyone she ever knew in the past. She lives in memories and continues to pulse with life in time with James's heart.